Hello BookTube! Today I want to talk about a manga series entitled The Girl from the Other Side, Siúil by Nagabi. These are quite heavy, but this is a 4 omnibus set of the 12 volumes that exist in the manga series. The first 11 are the actual series, and then the 12th volume is a collection of short stories. And I had first encountered this series back in like 2017, and I'd read the first 6 volumes of it. And I remember kind of getting into it at first and then kind of tapering off and never quite continuing with it. And then recently at the bookstore where I work, someone sold us these beautiful omnibus editions. Each one contains 3 volumes from the series, and they're just gorgeous. I did not actually purchase these. We're allowed to borrow them, so I did borrow them. This enabled me to read like the whole thing in one go, basically. Didn't have to wait for another volume to come out, which made it a little bit more cohesive in my head and able to follow the story along a little bit, but it didn't negate the kind of confusion I had with the series. The basis of this is you have a world that's divided, the inside, the humans that live on the inside, and then the creatures that live on the outside. And what happens is there's some sort of a curse that's gone around in the kingdom that turns humans into these creatures just at this simple touch. So if you're touched by a creature, you will be cursed and then shunned from society and or killed. They have soldiers that'll go out and actually wipe out entire communities if someone who's been cursed has been in the community, just to prevent this plague from spreading. What we have, as we encountered at the beginning of the story, are 2 beings. One is a creature. His name is, he's named Teacher. And this young little girl, you might see her a little bit better here. Her name is Shiva. And what happens is Teacher has come across this young girl in the woods, seemingly abandoned, with a little note attached, proposally from her aunt, and asking someone to take care of her because she's in danger. And she seems to be uncursed. He can't physically touch her in any way because he's afraid of passing the curse on to her, but very touchingly ends up taking care of this young girl, not knowing how he's going to tell her that her aunt's probably never going to be coming back for her. But that's a belief that she has in her head that this one day her aunt will return. And their relationship is just so touching. It's kind of fairy tale-ish. Like he's almost more like a parent to her, very caring, teaching her different things. But that's why he becomes known as Teacher. One day she scrapes her knee and he helps her learn how to treat the wound and cover the wound because he can't do it for her. And she says, oh, he says, maybe he was a doctor in his past life, doesn't know, but she ends up naming him Teacher. But then she also teaches him things too, kind of bringing back supposedly his humanity. Was he human before? Supposedly, I mean, he does dress in human clothes, but he's a different type of creature. There are some that are more animalistic, like you'll see right here, and you'll see them talking and stuff. There's some that are birds and stuff. What makes these creatures different? Did they have a past life? They seem to, in terms of like Teacher, doesn't really know anything about who he was beforehand. Did he have a family? Did he, what did he do? They don't seem to eat. They don't seem to sleep. They don't seem to feel pain. What has caused this? And throughout the story, you see this relationship between Shiva and Teacher rather, develop. But there are also people in the kingdom, soldiers, that are for some reason hunting Shiva. She's apparently the cure for the curse, or so they believe. And this story, I want to show you some of the artwork in it. It's the covers are absolutely beautiful in color. I really love these. I think the color covers were done specifically for this set. And there are also, I think, some color images included. Just trying on different clothes. But for the most part, it's just a, black and white manga series. And there are other creatures. There's another one here. And the artwork, it's very dark. I'll put it that way. It is very dark. You don't see a lot of expression on the features of the beings because I mean, there's not a lot there. I mean, all you see is his eyes. There's not much of a mouth. You maybe see a mouth open, but you don't get a lot of expression from these kind of creatures. So you know, it's hard to see what's going on in their head. Even Shiva, for that much, it's a tiny little girl. You don't see a whole lot. You know, very simple. Where is it? Like really simplistic features on the characters. Even the soldiers and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of detail. Again, there's teacher again. So that's a bit simplified, but there's some times where I found it kind of difficult to follow the story. That's one of the memories I have from when I first read it, that I was like, I had to keep backtracking. Wait, let me reread this section again, see if I understood it correctly. And I found I was still doing that through this series. It's confusing. Other characters are brought in, and I'm like, well, who is this? How did these creatures come to be? I felt like I enjoyed the journey to a certain extent, but I never got the answers I wanted by the time it finished. It's a bit of an ambiguous ending, although perhaps a hopeful ending. But you never really got answers to a lot of things that you will develop questions for, to be kind of vague, throughout reading the series. Yeah, I'm glad I finished it, but I found myself, like I said, rereading a lot throughout, and backtracking and stuff. So I think overall I'd probably rate, you know, I don't know how dark that one is. It's like, what am I seeing sometimes? What's going on here? How did the curse come to be? I'm still questioning that. You're left with a lot of unanswered questions. If you wanted to try this, I would say maybe, you know, check it out at a library and see what it's like. If you can get a hold of all of them and read them all in one go, I mean, that might help make it more cohesive. But I did, like I say, find myself confused. Sometimes the darkness of the imagery that you're looking at is a little too dark. I wish for a little bit more detail in some of the drawings, a little bit more of an explanation as to how events took place, what the connection is between teacher and Shiva, because it's a lot deeper than just their meeting in the woods and kind of developing this pseudo family that they make. But I wanted more answers, and I wanted a little bit more of a definite ending rather than kind of an ambiguous, you know, left to the reader type thing. That's how I felt it was left at. But anyway, that's kind of my overall thoughts. I was glad I was finally able to kind of finish off and see where, you know, where the author had gone with it, instead of leaving it off at just 6 volumes where I did. But anyway, if you guys read it, let me know what you thought of it, or if you think that sounds interesting, if you might want to try it, let me know, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.